What if the respect you so desperately seek from others is a phantom, a shadow cast not by their judgment of you, but by something you have quietly lost within yourself? We spend our lives polishing our image, curating our reputation, and managing perceptions, believing that respect is a prize to be won from the outside world. But the ancient Stoics knew a profound and unsettling truth. Genuine respect is never given. It is commanded. It is the silent gravitational force exerted by a soul in order. There is a single decision, a private choice made moment by moment, that acts as the source code for all authentic respect, both from others and, more critically, from the person you see in the mirror. By the end of our time together, you will not only understand what this choice is, but you will hold the blueprint for making it your default setting, rebuilding your character from the bedrock up. This exploration is a work of practical philosophy, intended to provoke thought and inspire self-reflection. It is not, and should never be, a substitute for professional medical, legal, or psychological counsel. The principles we discuss are ancient tools for building resilience and character, but their application is a personal journey. You are the architect of your own life. Use these tools with wisdom, care, and the guidance of qualified experts where needed. We are here to examine the timeless question of what it means to live a good life, not to prescribe a one-size-fits-all cure. The world teaches us that respect is transactional. It's earned through achievement, status, and the careful performance of a socially approved self. But this is a fragile kind of respect, a currency that can be devalued overnight by a rumor, a mistake, or the shifting tides of public opinion. It leaves us in a state of perpetual anxiety, constantly monitoring our audience, terrified of a misstep. The Stoics saw this as a form of self-imposed slavery. To tether your inner peace to the unpredictable applause of the crowd is to hand the keys to your tranquility to anyone and everyone but yourself. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, reminded himself in his private journals to waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be, but simply to be times one. The focus was never on the external reflection, but on the internal reality. True, unshakable respect is an inside-out phenomenon. It is the natural consequence of a well-ordered mind, a disciplined will, and an unwavering commitment to one's own principles. The habits that destroy respect are not, therefore, mere social faux pas. They are cracks in the foundation of your own character. They are external symptoms of an internal disorder. When we see someone who is unreliable, who gossips, who interrupts, who constantly complains, we are not just observing poor manners. We are witnessing a person whose inner world is in chaos, a person who has not yet mastered their own impulses, judgments, and speech. And our intuition, honed by millennia of social survival, correctly identifies this person as unstable, untrustworthy, and ultimately not worthy of our deepest confidence. The 4 habits we will dissect today are not just 4 items on a checklist to avoid. They are 4 windows into the soul, and by understanding the philosophical error at the root of each, we can do more than just stop a bad habit. We can fundamentally re-engineer our relationship with ourselves and, as a consequence, with the world. Let's begin with the most insidious and socially accepted poison: speech without discipline. This manifests in 2 common forms: gossiping about the lives of others and complaining about the state of our own. On the surface, they seem different. One is directed outward, the other inward. But they spring from the same corrupted source: a failure to properly apply what the Stoics called the dichotomy of control. This is the foundational principle of all Stoic practice, the master key that unlocks a life of tranquility and purpose. It states that some things are within our power and some things are not. Within our power are our judgments, our impulses, our choices, our actions, our words. Outside, our power is everything else: what other people think, say, or do, our reputation, our health, the economy, the weather. The disciplined mind focuses all its energy on the former and meets the latter with serene acceptance. Gossip is the quintessential violation of this principle. It is the act of obsessing over, judging, and disseminating information about a realm entirely outside your control, the life of another person. It seems like a harmless social ritual, a way to bond over shared secrets, but it is a deeply corrosive act. When you participate in gossip, you send a clear, unspoken signal to everyone present: I am not a secure fortress, I am a leaky vessel. Secrets are not safe with me, because my sense of self-worth is so fragile that I must derive it from possessing and sharing information that is not my own. The person you gossip times with times today will correctly assume that you will gossip about times them tomorrow. You are demonstrating, in real time, that you lack the integrity to be a trusted guardian of information or of a relationship. Consider the dynamic in any professional setting. There was a manager, let's call him Michael, who was brilliant at his job. He was strategic, insightful, and could see market trends before anyone else. But he had a fatal flaw. He used information as a tool for intimacy and control. In private conversations, he would share a confidential frustration about one colleague, a piece of gossip about another's personal life, a skeptical opinion about a senior leader's decision. He thought this created a special bond with the person he was talking to, making them feel like they were in his inner circle. For a while, it worked. People felt privileged. But slowly, a chilling realization dawned on his team. If he was talking times them about everyone else, he was surely talking times everyone else about them. Trust didn't just fray, it evaporated. His team's communication became guarded and political. The flow of honest feedback dried up. People stopped bringing him their real problems, fearing their vulnerability would become fodder for his next confidential chat. Michael's career stalled, not for a lack of talent, but for a self-inflicted lack of trust. He had poisoned the well from which his own authority drank. He saw the symptoms, the lack of engagement, the missed targets, but he never understood the cause, because the cause was him. He had failed to govern his own tongue. The antidote to gossip is not just silence, but what we might call virtuous speech. It is the conscious decision to direct your conversations toward what is productive, true, and within your control. The Stoics would urge us to discuss ideas, not people, to analyze systems, not scandals, to seek understanding, not judgment. Before speaking, one can practice a simple internal catechism. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Does it build up or tear down? This isn't about becoming a sanitized, boring conversationalist. It's about becoming a source of psychological safety and intellectual substance. A person around whom others feel they can think freely and speak honestly without fear of their words being weaponized later. This is a rare and powerful form of social gravity. The second face of undisciplined speech is chronic complaining. Like gossip, complaining is an obsession with what is outside our control. The traffic, the weather, our boss's incompetence, the unfairness of the world. A complaint is essentially a verbal tantrum against reality. It is a declaration of victimhood. And while venting can feel temporarily relieving, a habit of complaining is profoundly disempowering. It trains your brain to scan the world for defects, injustices, and annoyances. It turns your mind into a radar for negativity, and in doing so, it makes you a tiresome burden on those around you. I once worked with a woman, let's call her Sarah, who was trapped in this cycle. Every conversation began with a litany of woes. Her commute was a nightmare, her coffee was cold, her project was under-resourced, her weekend was ruined by rain. Initially, colleagues offered sympathy. They tried to help, to offer solutions, but they soon learned that solutions were not what Sarah wanted. The complaint itself was the point. It was her identity. To solve the problem would be to rob her of her narrative. Slowly, people stopped asking how she was doing because they already knew the answer. They avoided her in the kitchen. They sat at other tables for lunch. Her isolation was a direct result of the psychic weight she placed on everyone she interacted with. She was an energy vampire, draining the will of those around her to prop up her own story of misfortune. The Stoic response to the urge to complain is brutally simple and profoundly liberating. For any given situation that provokes you, ask the question, is this within my control? If the answer is yes, then complaining is an indulgent waste of time. Your energy should be directed toward action. Don't complain about the messy kitchen, clean it. Don't complain about the unclear project brief. Schedule a meeting to clarify it. Don't complain about your fitness. Go for a walk. Action is the only antidote. If the answer is no, then complaining is not only useless, but irrational. It is, as the Stoics would say, like being angry at a stone for falling down. You are raging against the nature of the universe. The traffic will not part because of your anger. The rain will not cease because of your lamentations. Here, the task is not action, but acceptance. To accept what you cannot change is not passive resignation, it is the highest form of wisdom. It is the conservation of your precious mental and emotional energy for the battles that you can actually win, the battles within yourself. A person who does not complain, who either acts or accepts, possesses a quiet strength that is magnetic. They are a stable harbor in the storm of daily life, and people will naturally flock to them for shelter and guidance. They command respect because they have demonstrated mastery over their own reactivity. Now we turn from the domain of speech to the domain of action, where we find the second great pillar of character, integrity. This is where your words and your deeds are forged into a single, unbreakable alloy. The two habits that signal a failure of integrity are being unreliable and interrupting others. Again, they seem unrelated. One is a grand failure of commitment, the other a minor conversational tick. But they both stem from a disordered relationship with time, promises, and attention. Unreliability is perhaps the fastest way to dissolve the social contract. We live in an age of casual commitments. I'll be there, we say, with the unspoken caveat, unless something better comes along. We promise to send the email, to make the call, to help a friend move, and then life gets in the way. We offer excuses, apologies, justifications, but what we are actually doing is demonstrating, through our actions, that our word is worth nothing. And if your word is worth nothing, you, as a person of integrity, are worth nothing. Think of a young entrepreneur. Let's call him Jason. He was gifted, charismatic, and full of world-changing ideas. He would meet with potential investors and partners, painting a vivid picture of the future. He would promise presentations by Tuesday, financial models by Friday, follow-up calls the next week. People were captivated by his vision and his energy. But Tuesday would come and go. The presentation would arrive on Wednesday, incomplete, with a rushed apology. Friday's models would slip to the following Monday. The follow-up calls would never happen unless he was chased. Each instance, taken in isolation, seemed minor. A small delay, a forgivable oversight. But together, they painted a devastating portrait. Jason could not be trusted to do what he said he would do. Investors, who risk capital based on the perceived integrity of a founder, quietly walked away. Talented employees, who invest their careers based on the stability of their leader, began to look for other opportunities. Jason's venture failed before it even truly began. He blamed the market, his competitors, a lack of funding. He never understood that he had authored his own demise through 1,000 broken micro-promises. He lacked the Stoic virtue of honoring his word, as if it were a signed and sealed contract. The Stoics sees their word as an extension of their will. To give your word is to make a solemn vow, not just to another person, but to your own character. To break it is to weaken your own soul. Reliability is not built in grand, heroic gestures. It is forged in the small, mundane, daily acts of keeping your promises. It's arriving at the meeting 5 minutes early. It's finishing the report on the day you said you would. It's calling your mother when you promised you would. It is the relentless, consistent alignment of your stated intentions with your executed actions. People don't expect perfection. They expect consistency. They need to know that your words map onto reality. When they do, trust is the inevitable result. And where trust exists, respect is sure to follow. The reliable person becomes an island of certainty in a sea of chaos. The final habit, interrupting others, seems the most trivial, yet it is a profound act of disrespect. It can be disguised as enthusiasm, as a desire to contribute, as collaborative energy. But the underlying message, received loud and clear by the person being interrupted, is this: my thoughts are more important than your thoughts. My need to speak right now outweighs your need to finish. The trajectory of my mind is more valuable than the trajectory of yours. It is an act of conversational narcissism. It reveals an anxious, undisciplined mind that is not truly listening, but merely waiting for a gap to insert its own monologue. I learned this lesson the hard way in my early career. I was eager to prove myself, full of ideas. In meetings, I was a serial interrupter. I thought it made me look smart and engaged. I would finish people's sentences, jump in with a counter-argument before they had landed their point, and pivot the conversation to my own agenda. I was so caught up in my own performance that I failed to notice the subtle cues from those around me, the flicker of annoyance in their eyes, the way they would sigh and fall silent, the fact that they stopped offering their best ideas in my presence. The turning point came from a senior mentor, a woman of few words but immense presence. After a meeting in which I had been particularly egregious, she asked me to stay behind. She didn't scold me. She simply looked at me with a calm, penetrating gaze and said, "You are always ready to speak, but you are rarely prepared to listen. You win the small battles in the conversation, but you are losing the war for influence." It was a dagger to my ego, but it was the truest thing anyone had ever told me. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most revered teachers in the Roman Empire, taught that we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, to listen twice as much as we speak. Listening, for the Stoic, is not a passive act of waiting. It is an active, disciplined practice. It is the choice to quiet your own inner monologue and create a space of genuine receptivity for the other person. It requires humility, the recognition that you might not have all the answers. It requires patience, the ability to endure the silence after someone has finished speaking, to allow their thoughts to fully land before you formulate a response. I began to practice what I now call Stoic listening. When I felt that familiar, anxious urge to jump in, I would physically bite my tongue, take a slow breath, and force myself to hold the other person's gaze. I would ask clarifying questions instead of offering immediate opinions. "Can you tell me more about that? What led you to that conclusion?" The change was not immediate, but it was profound. My colleagues began to open up. They shared more nuanced, creative ideas. They started seeking my opinion, not because I was the loudest person in the room, but because they felt I was the one who had actually heard them. I learned that true power and respect do not come from dominating the conversation, but from creating the conditions for wisdom to emerge. By mastering my impulse to speak, I gained something far more valuable: the trust and consideration of my peers. To listen with presence is to offer the rarest of gifts in our distracted world, the gift of your full and undivided attention. It is an act of profound respect, and it is always, without fail, reciprocated. So we see the 4 habits are not isolated flaws. They are interconnected symptoms of a deeper ailment, a failure to govern the inner kingdom of the self. Gossiping and complaining reveal a mind that has surrendered its power to external events. Unreliability and interrupting reveal a will that is not aligned with its own stated values. To fix the cracks, we must reinforce the foundation, and that foundation is built daily through conscious practice. The path forward is not one of dramatic, overnight transformation, but of small, consistent, and deliberate choices. It is the path of the times Procopton asterisk, the Stoic term for one who is making progress. You begin by observing yourself without judgment, as a scientist studying a specimen. Notice the urge to complain about the morning traffic. Don't suppress it, just observe it. See it for what it is, a useless expenditure of energy. Then, consciously choose a different response. Take a deep breath, put on a podcast, use the time to think, reclaim that moment for your own purpose. When you find yourself in a conversation that veers into gossip, notice the seductive pull of being an insider. Acknowledge the feeling, then gently redirect the conversation. Ask a question about an idea, a project, a book. You don't need to deliver a moral lecture, you simply need to change the channel. You become the one who elevates the discourse, and people will subconsciously register that you are a person of substance. Before making a promise, however small, pause. Ask yourself, am I willing and able to see this through? Be honest. It is far more honorable to say, let me check my calendar and get back to you, than to offer a casual yes that you later break. Learn to underpromise and overdeliver. Guard your word as you would guard your most precious possession, because in a very real sense, it is the currency of your character. And in your next conversation, make it your primary goal not to be interesting, but to be interested. Practice the art of the sacred pause. When the other person finishes a sentence, count to 2 in your head before you even think of speaking. Let their words settle. Listen not just to what they say, but to the silence between their words. You will be astonished at what you begin to hear. This is the Stoic Forge. It is the daily work of hammering your impulses, judgments, and actions into alignment with your chosen principles. It is often uncomfortable. It requires vigilance. It means choosing the harder right over the easier wrong, time and time again. But each small victory, each conquered impulse, adds another stone to the wall of your inner citadel. You become less reactive, less dependent on external validation, and more anchored in your own unshakable sense of self-worth. And here we can finally close the loop we opened at the very beginning. That single, private choice, the source code for all genuine respect, is the moment-to-moment decision to exercise your times prohairesis, times your faculty of choice with wisdom and integrity. It is the choice to distinguish between what you can control and what you cannot, and to act accordingly. It is the choice to align your speech with virtue, not with vanity. It is the choice to align your actions with your commitments, not with your moods. It is the choice, in every interaction, to listen before you speak. This choice, made in the silent theater of your own mind, is the origin point of all character. Respect from others ceases to be the goal. It becomes an inevitable byproduct. People are drawn to the person who possesses this quiet internal order, not because of what they say or what they have, but because of who they are. They are a source of stability in a turbulent world. They are trustworthy. They are present. They are self-possessed. They have built something inside themselves that the world can neither give them nor take away. And that is the only kind of power, the only kind of respect that truly matters. Once you have begun this work of building your inner fortress, of patching the cracks revealed by these 4 habits, the journey of the modern Stoic continues. The next chapter is not just about defending against inner chaos, but about learning to actively engage with the chaos of the world, with strength and even a kind of grace. It involves learning how to face adversity not merely with acceptance, but with a strategic embrace, understanding how to use life's inevitable obstacles as the very fuel for your growth. This is the discipline of ascent, the art of turning what stands in the way into the way forward. And that is where our path will lead us next.